Apuryamanam achalam pratishtam samudramapah pravashanti sarve.
How would you even define modern day spirituality?
So many people misinterpreting the stories.
I feel is very close to my heart, which talks about the amalgamation about spirituality. For that, let me now welcome Dr. Shubha Vilas. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in. What kind of strategies can they take away from this book?
Anything that naturally grows sustains also. In a world which is filled with distractions, being attentive to yourself,
The interpretation in Indonesia for Ganesha.
pseudo spiritualists presenting spirituality in a fashionable way, both these extremes won't work for a modern man.
But how do you react to some of these people who do not fully understand spirituality and call it as feel good talk?
Some enemies you fight, some enemies you surrender to.
How different is that from that, let's say, a journey of a founder?
Krishna says in the Gita, Yadyad acharati shreshtas tattat eva tarojana. So whatever standard a leader sets, common man follows.
What was that transition, move away from a corporate world into the world of spirituality? Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another amazing episode of the Innovators and Disruptors podcast. I often ponder over a very simple question or a thought that, we live in a country in India where for thousands of years we have seen life and we have spoken about how to live life in a meaningful way. Yet today we seem to be living in a world which is very disconnected with that same essence of how we started out. A lot of our ancient scripts talk about those, but we have lost touch with that. The world around us become more and more complex, and today's conversation is going to revolve around something which I feel is very close to my heart, which talks about the amalgamation about spirituality in the modern day world. And for that, we have someone very, very learned who's a scholar. He's taken more than 5,000 sessions across 20 different countries, across corporates, startups, educational institutions. He has taught kids to young adults to corporate leaders, startup founders, and so on and so forth. And for that, let me now welcome Dr. Shubha Vilas. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in.
Thank you, sir. Very happy to be here on this podcast.
My pleasure, sir. So, very interesting question that I had for you, and I think everyone would want to know this. You did your engineering, then you did your master's in patent law, and then you did your PhD, but that was into Valmiki Ramayana, if I'm not wrong, right? And then you took up a whole different pathway in your life. You left corporate world. What was that transition like? How did you even think about the transition, move away from a corporate world into the world of spirituality?
I think from my engineering days, I was looking for something meaningful and something that I would enjoy doing.
Hmm.
So at every phase of life, I kept looking for something that will really excite me, that will add a lot more depth into what I'm able to offer the world, and also feel very satisfying to me.
Hmm.
So after engineering, I took up an engineering job and I was bored after about a couple of months. I felt I needed something more exciting. And that's when I found patent law.
Hmm.
And I found that to be a field that was super exciting. Every day I was filing new patents and it was really thrilling and exciting. And then during that journey, I dived deep into spirituality and I found that to be even more exciting.
Wow.
So that's when I moved from the field of patent law. I took up a career break practically and I joined a monastery. I lived as a monk for almost 11 years, studying the scriptures, trying to understand life, going much deeper into my own life, and trying to contribute meaningfully to the world. And at that point in time, I found the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, and I found these have so much depth, but not much research has been done in them.
Hmm.
And not just not much research, but more than that, the scriptures have not been presented in a way that a modern man can use and apply in their lives.
Right.
And I found that to be the most exciting thing that I've ever come across in my life. And I really dived deep down into that. And that's how my journey and transitions happened in the quest for looking for something more meaningful, in the quest to look for something that I can contribute to the world in a meaningful way. and more importantly, find more satisfaction into what I was doing on a daily basis.
That's fantastic. Uh, you mentioned a very interesting point, which was about modern day spirituality. How would you even define modern day spirituality? What does it entail? People know what spirituality. We know we are in a modern day, but what is the amalgamation of these two? If you had to explain that.
Traditionally, the process of spirituality and the practices of spirituality are pretty intense.
Hmm.
Now, how many people in today's world are able to pull out of their society, pull out of their jobs, pull out of their responsibilities, and completely focus into spirituality? Hardly a fraction,
Right.
right? I managed to do it.
Hmm.
And I felt that I can just drop everything and dive deep into spirituality.
Right.
And I realized that 99% of the world are not going to be able to do that.
Hmm.
So now, if spirituality is going to be relevant for the 99% of the people in the world, it has to be practiced, it has to be presented, it has to be uh, molded in a way that those 99% of the people can actually make it a part of their daily lives.
Right.
That's the challenge. So if you go to traditionalists
Hmm.
who are, sadhus and who are yogis, who are living in traditional monasteries, who are living in the Himalayan jungles, their practices of spirituality are so intense
Hmm.
that a modern man can't even fathom.
Right.
But if you go to some ultra modern pseudo spiritualists,
Hmm.
which are in plenty today,
Hmm.
you will find them watering down the traditions, watering down those practices, and presenting spirituality in a fashionable way,
Right.
but in a compromised way.
Right.
And I felt both these extremes won't work for a modern man because traditional spirituality is too intense for him, but the pseudo spirituality, which is currently trending, is not going to give him the depth that he is actually looking for.
True.
It's not going to make him feel that I have really gone deep into my spiritual practices
Right.
because it's very superficial. And then I realized that I need to help people through the midway
Hmm.
where I do not compromise on the teachings of the scriptures and the great saints,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I present those teachings in a way that a common man can apply it while carrying on their responsibilities.
Makes sense.
This is exactly what Krishna was trying to do with Arjun in the Bhagavad Gita.
Hmm.
When Arjun was a common man, of
Hmm.
course, he was one of the leaders at that time, but he was a married person. He had responsibilities. He was a leader among men at that point, and yet at the same time, he had a deep quest for spirituality. In
Hmm.
fact, at one point, he was thinking of quitting all his occupational duties and running to the forest and focusing on his spiritual journey.
Hmm.
And then Krishna taught him the Gita,
Hmm.
and through the Gita, Krishna taught him the art of balance,
Wow.
finding the mid path.
Right.
And I personally feel that I'm just trying to, continue on that journey, help people find the mid path where they can not compromise on their spiritual practices, but at the same time live lives that are, ultra modern, and at the same time find depth in what they're doing.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much. In fact, one very common aspect that I've noticed over the years growing up as well, there's one side of it that I've seen in my own personal environment with my parents, teaching us the meaning of mantras that we recite. On the other hand, whenever we have had some of the Brahmins, Pandits who have come into our house and performed rituals, for a very long period of time, they never explained to us the meaning of the recitations. And what I've been taught is that, every time you recite a mantra, you should probably have a sankalp before doing that, right? So it allows you to, kind of position power into your thoughts, into whatever sankalp you are taking, or, the idea behind that ritual. Cut to today, now I'm starting to see some of these rituals are being explained more meaningfully. In fact, you have been teaching a lot of people. You've taken more than 5,000 sessions across 20 countries and large organizations like Microsoft's, Google's, Apple's, and Samsung's of the world. You've taught a lot of these corporate leaders as well. What do they typically, these corporate leaders, when they, take these sessions from you or the learnings from you, what are they initially seeking and what are they actually looking for?
To be frank, a lot of people don't know what they're looking for.
Right.
I'll tell you something that just happened yesterday. I was invited for a Diwali session uh, in a large corporate organization,
Right.
and it was a pretty large crowd of people who were coming to celebrate Diwali.
Hmm.
And I was constantly being told they are coming for fun. Make sure that you speak entertaining
Hmm.
and make sure that they really enjoy it. In fact, till the last moment, I was kept being asked, "Are you sure it's going to be fun for them? Are you sure the Gen Z is going to enjoy it?" I said, "See, I don't know.
Right.
I'm going to do what I'm best at,
Right.
and then let's see what happens. I'm not going to do something that is not me
Right.
just to entertain them, but at the
Makes
same
sense.
time, I have something to offer them which I feel is going to be meaningful and useful to them.
Right.
Let's see." So then I went on the stage, and of course, before me and after me, there was a lot of entertainment, the typical, Bollywood and stuff, all the kind of entertainment that people usually think entertainment is.
Right.
And then I came in between.
Hmm.
And then I spoke the story of the Ramayana uncompromisingly,
Wow.
without compromising anything. Of course, I spoke it in a humorous way. I spoke it in a way that is, that is meaningful. I added something that made relevance to them. But I spoke Ramayana essentially for about 45 minutes. Pin drop silence.
Fantastic.
The 400, 500 people that were there, not one moved.
Hmm.
Absolute pin drop silence. Then the leaders, they came to me and they said, "We never expected this. We
Wow.
never expected that the Gen Z is going to sit
Hmm.
in a Ram Katha and hear a person speaking straight Ramayana stories for such a long period of time."
That's amazing.
And that's my experience every time.
Right.
We actually underestimate people.
Hmm.
We underestimate what people want and what people are looking for.
Right.
In fact, we feel that people are looking for something superficial,
Hmm.
whereas actually people are looking for something deep.
True.
And when we, give people what we feel is the best for them,
Hmm.
it actually helps them.
Indeed, I'm sure. I actually, in fact, on this note, when you said, people seek something deep, there was a phase in life where I decided to, join a particular course of an institution. It was a 5-day course. On the third day, the guru who was imparting that knowledge to us. I think he was also a corporate leader who had also, on the sidelines, started imparting growth. But I felt that there was a lack of depth in the conversation. One of the pressing thoughts at that point of time that I had in my head was that, they kept telling me that, focus on the present. Don't be agonized by the past and don't be worried about the future. Stay in the present, which made a lot of sense to me. And they also gave me another fundamental value, which was that unless you're keeping yourself happy, you cannot keep other people happy around yourself, right? People you care about. To that, I had a very interesting question. I said, and back in the day, I used to smoke cigarettes. So I asked this gentleman a question, the Guruji a question, saying that, "Sir, I smoke cigarettes, and it tends to give me happiness. However, my smoking cigarettes tends to give a lot of unhappiness to the family members around me, and of course, for the right reasons. How is it that I should compromise on their unhappiness by looking at my happiness? Because if they are unhappy, ideally I will also become unhappy soon, right?" So there was no answer that I got to that, which made me wonder how many of the people are truly giving the right guidance. you know and I'm bringing another analogy. Today there's a lot of work going on. Everyone is almost, I mean, a lot of people that we see are in professional lives. They're leading a lot of stressful lives. Could you talk about two metrics? When I say metrics, I'm talking about business is measured by metrics, but spiritual growth, we need to. Is there any way, in the first place, can we measure growth and progress in the spiritual journey? If so, what would be two instinctive areas, attributes that you would suggest people should look at and measure whether they're growing in the spiritual journeys as well?
The most important thing that you should look for, which is a very clear measurement or yardstick to figure out whether you're growing in your spiritual journey or no, is your ability to respond to situations,
Hmm.
whether it's good and bad. A lot of us go through many situations in our life. Some of them are happy situations, some of them are sad, some of them are setbacks, some of them are extreme degrees of success. how we respond to each of these situations determines what is your depth.
Yeah, right.
Somebody who is spiritually evolved, their ability to react and respond to situations is much different from
Right.
somebody who is shallow.
Makes sense.
Just like I had a friend who was traveling in a train
Hmm.
to reach a particular destination. And while he was on the train, a passenger, he said, he was just randomly speaking to him, telling him that, do you know there was a big fire accident in a factory in Bandra?
Hmm.
There's a massive fire going on.
Hmm.
He said, yeah, I know, it's my factory. And he's going to attend to the fire in his own factory. Everybody's talking about it.
Right.
And this man is cool. The guy was shocked.
Hmm.
He said, how are you so cool? In spite of knowing that your factory is on fire, your whole life's earnings.
Hmm.
This man said, what will I do by jumping around in stress? When I go there, I'll figure it out.
Right.
Right now, even if I jump around,
Hmm.
I'm not going to be able to solve a problem.
Right.
And this man, he said, I learned these teachings from
Hmm.
my practice of spirituality, and it's taught me to remain grounded in such situations of life. And that's exactly what the first yardstick to measure your own spiritual progress is. There may be some people who are practicing spirituality for 10 years, 20 years, but when they get into situations which are difficult,
Hmm.
or even when they get into situations which are very joyful,
Right.
the way people react is not exactly dignified or
Hmm.
graceful, right?
True.
So this is the first yardstick in my opinion. The second yardstick, which signifies that you have made a significant progress in your spiritual journey, is that you know the value of solitude. You know the value of being able to derive joy from within and not depend on external sources for joy.
Right.
A lot of people depend on things.
Hmm.
If I buy this particular car, I'll be happy. If I buy this particular gadget, I'll be happy. If I have this set of clothes, I'll be happy. Or they depend on people.
Right.
If I have this person in my life, I'll be happy. If I have these kind of friendships, I'll be happy. A lot of factors that we are, determining as yardsticks for happiness is
Hmm.
based on externals. But a spiritually evolved person finds joy within, and that's the concept of Atma Rama. The word Atma Ram means Atma means the self,
Hmm.
and Rama means pleasure, the one who seeks pleasure from within.
Hmm.
And for such a person, there is no question of loneliness because for him, in solitude, he derives great pleasure, great confidence, great inspiration, and superb growth.
Makes a lot of sense. Amazing. So, two very interesting perspectives or attributes that you've shared for spiritual growth and journey. So that's very interesting. But you've been teaching these different attributes and spiritual modern day spiritual learnings to people from various age groups. This could be very early kids, young adults, grown-ups, leaders, etc. How do you teach the same things in different formats for different age groups?
I personally feel the one thread that connects all age groups is stories.
Hmm.
And I personally have been benefited a lot by stories. From my childhood, I've been hearing, reading, learning stories. And I learn best through stories.
Hmm.
And I strongly feel that every age group, whether you're telling a story to a small child or you're telling it to a story to a grown-up adult, they are very focused.
Right.
Why do you think the movie industry is doing so well? Because it's all stories.
Right.
Why do you think people are reading so many books? Because it's all stories
Right.
narrated in a way that you can learn from them.
True.
The best stories are those that leave a deep impact in you much after they are told.
Hmm.
So when I tell stories according to the age group, according to the mindset, according to the intelligence level, according to the the audience that is in front of me,
Right.
and I try to make the stories relevant to their lives.
Hmm.
So I may tell the same story to a small child or to a corporate giant, but the same story has a different type of impact on different audiences
Hmm.
based on how you speak it out, what kind of insights you add into it. For a small child, they don't really need insights. They're looking for entertainment. They're looking for something that just makes them smile. But for somebody who is, intellectually oriented, they are looking for deeper insights from the same story.
Right.
And that is the way I feel I can bridge gaps.
Makes sense.
And wherever I've spoken, whichever types of audiences I've spoken, this format really helps. People fall asleep when you speak, philosophy and concepts, too much. But when you tell stories, everyone's awake.
Fantastic. I think, and I've purchased a few of your books for my own kid as well. So very excited about how you're simplifying it as well as making it so relevant for kids to understand the value behind a lot of these stories. And that brings me to a very interesting perspective too. A lot of stories in their traditional form factors, while very, very meaningful, are misinterpreted today in today's day and age. And my assumption is that a lot of your books today breaks it down and makes it relevant in today's day and age for people to really understand of how it happened as against the value systems that were being thought about, let's say, 30 to 50 years ago as well.
Thank you for asking this question, because this is the very reason I started writing in the first place.
Okay.
Because I saw so many people misinterpreting the stories, the scriptures, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, all our scriptures for that matter. And I found that people taking liberty in misinterpreting the characters, the psychology behind the characters, the story itself, and the interpretation of the story. And I found that to be something that deeply hurt me, because you cannot misinterpret characters and stories that are historical.
Right.
Just like if I have to depict Mahatma Gandhi wearing jeans, it's not going to be right, because he is a person.
Right.
And he has some value systems, he has some thought processes, he has some preferences. And naturally, I need to be respectful of them.
Very true.
So if I call somebody like Bharat, who is called Dharmatma throughout the scriptures, as a flirt, that's not at all modernization. That is absolutely distortion. And there are very famous authors who are doing that.
Right.
If I convey a thought that Lord Ganesh, who is supposed to be the most amazing personality, that he is having a particular form because he's cursed because of some sin that he has done in the past.
Right.
Now that is not an interpretation.
Right.
It's absolutely misinterpretation.
Hmm.
And I'm giving these examples. These are examples that are there in books written by modern authors
Right.
and widely circulated in India.
Hmm.
Right? I'm not taking names, but whoever have read them, they will know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But this is what is called as misinterpretation.
Right.
So there is a difference between presenting the scriptures in a relevant way and twisting the scriptures to make them relevant or to
Right.
make them modernized. So there is no problem in adapting. There is no problem in adapting a scripture or a story to present that scripture or the story in a modern context for a modern audience.
Right.
As long as I'm not interpreting the psychology behind those characters, or rather misinterpreting, I would say,
Right.
and I'm not changing the storyline itself to suit my need. I'm not doing that, then it's fine.
Makes sense.
And I'm presenting the story in a authorized manner, which is what is called parampara.
Right.
Right. I'm not deviating from what the Rishi Darshan is. Rishi Darshan means the original author who has written is Valmiki or Vyasdev. Many of these great personalities, Parashar, all of these personalities, they have a certain vision based on which they write these scriptures.
Right.
It's called Rishi Darshan. And these are visions that are not their own. It is given to them by God. And that's what makes these books as timeless.
Right.
So I have no authority to misinterpret that vision.
Right.
I keep that vision, but I can present that vision in a modern context.
Makes a lot of sense.
That is allowed, and that is in fact needed. But if I distort the vision itself, and if I distort the original Rishi Darshan itself, then it's definitely something that is disturbing, and that is the That is the very reason I began writing in the first place.
Fantastic. No, that's amazing. In fact, you see that it's historically seen in so many different contexts. Very early in my, I mean, a few years ago, very early in my marriage, I went to Bali and I saw Ganesha's avatar there in a warrior form factor, right? He was not shown as the benevolent, kind God that we typically see of him, his expressions, etc. In India. In Indonesia, in Bali, he had weapons in his hand, he had anger on his face. So for me, I've heard different, perceptions or interpretations of different stories. And it's very interesting for me to now dive deeper into some of these more from a learning standpoint. When as a learner, people are listening to your stories. You have been a faculty at various IITs, IIMs, Narsimonji, and others. How do students, what do they go back with when they are part of these learning sessions with you? What do they at the end of these learning sessions go back with?
I try my best to help youngsters find a context in their life.
Hmm.
So usually every youngster is struggling with self identity. That is one of the first things that they are really struggling with. A lot of youngsters don't know who they are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. A lot of them are struggling to make their weaknesses into their strengths.
Hmm.
Whenever I teach in many of these B schools, I always start my courses by helping them develop a healthy self image.
Hmm.
That is where I begin.
Hmm.
Because if they don't have a relationship with themselves,
Hmm.
which is healthy, how are they going to have a relationship with others? And then how are they going to lead others? So, if you really want to begin a journey of self development,
Hmm.
it always begins with the journey of correcting your own self image,
Hmm.
developing the right self image, the right understanding of who you are.
Hmm.
90% of our problems in life
Hmm.
are simply because we don't know who we are. We're
Makes sense.
simply trying to fit in and try to be somebody else.
Hmm.
And the more you're going to be somebody else, the more miserable you're going to be.
Right.
And therefore, I try to help youngsters look at themselves, reevaluate, what is really cool, what is the right understanding of a healthy self-image, or what is the meaning of accepting themselves with their strengths and weaknesses,
Hmm.
and then falling in love with themselves, and then contributing something meaningfully with whatever gifts God has given them.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, it brings you back to the fundamental question: Who are you? Right?
Correct.
And more often than not, people do not know how to answer that. Very fascinating. In fact, uh, in your books, you have also spoken about, in your sessions, you've spoken about this, that there are various techniques with which you react to situations differently. Is there a quick ritual that someone can do when they are in a position which is not letting them be calm or composed? Could there be a quick 10-minute ritual that they can potentially do to help them uh, reduce that anxiety at that point in time and be in a more composed state?
The body and the mind are interconnected.
Hmm.
When your mind is stressed out, when you are in anxiety, you are getting angry, you're very agitated mentally,
Hmm.
you may not be able to stop that immediately.
Hmm.
So, whenever you are in a situation where there's a lot of mental agitation, there's no calmness in the mind, first start physically.
Hmm.
There are some things that we can do physically that will immediately have an effect in your mind.
Okay.
And something as simple as washing your face with cold water,
Hmm.
just splashing cold water on your face,
Hmm.
instantly has a major difference psychologically in your mind.
Hmm.
So it is said the moment cold water splashes on your face,
Hmm.
physically, it's a physical act,
Right.
but that affects your psychological state of mind.
Hmm.
And immediately you calm down.
Hmm.
It's not even after 5 minutes, instantly
Hmm.
you calm down. So this is one of the practices that ancient, sages have always been doing. The simple act of cold water bath.
Hmm.
So what is a cold water bath?
Right.
It's simply immersing yourself in cold water so that the rajas and tamas that is there built up with anger,
Hmm.
there's a lot of Rajagun, Tamagun that builds up with certain emotions.
Right.
The moment you enter into cold water, it gets converted into sattva, and your mind becomes peaceful instantly after that.
Hmm.
So this is one thing that you could do.
Hmm.
And another thing that you could do, which if you're not able to have a cold water bath, if you're not able to wash your face, if you're in a situation like that, a very powerful way is breathing.
Hmm.
The quality of your breath and the depth of your breath also directly controls the state of your mind.
Right.
And that is why breathing is considered to be such an essential part of spirituality. Without knowing breathing, you cannot chant.
Hmm.
Without knowing breathing, you cannot chant mantras.
Right.
Without knowing breathing, you cannot chant japa. Without knowing breathing, you cannot sing bhajans. All of it is connected with breathing, because breath is called prana.
Right.
It's the foundational airs of the body. And with the quality of your breathing, you can actually control the quality of your mind's agitations. So if you are in a state of agitation, you can simply sit down and take some very deep breath.
Hmm.
Deep breathing, pranayam, these deep breathing exercises actually help a lot with psychological effects. In fact, before you get on a stage, if
Right.
you're having stage fright, just take 3 deep breaths.
Hmm.
Your stage fright will just disappear. You'll be able to face the audience with a much greater confidence. And
Hmm.
you'll be able to stand there without shivering, without feeling all those, jitters, basically. And that is how the body impacts the mind.
Makes a lot of sense.
If your mind is agitated, simply work on your body. And if your body is agitated, work on your mind.
Brilliant. No, that's amazing. In fact, for people who are listening to us, the audience members, I think these are two very straightforward hacks. You don't need to understand necessarily, and ideally you should, about Rajasvik, Tamsik, and Sattvic, personas. But even if you don't understand that, following these two steps makes life so much better. One is your breath control, and how do you understand the whole aspect of breathing. Practicing that in yoga also we do that very often, and then of course the second is taking bath with cold water can help you. People talk about longevity as well associated with cold water, right? So I'm assuming there's a lot of that inculcated in our ancient science, which is not being translated effectively as the right meaning to the current day world.
Correct. Absolutely.
Right?
There are so many effects of cold water.
Amazing. So your book, Undefeatable Krishna, you have, more often than not, we have known Krishna as the charioteer, and you have mentioned that as well, that, the whole, uh, you know, explanation of the wisdom that he gave to Arjun is what comes into Bhagavad Gita. But you have spoken about undefeated in your book, in the recent book that you've written. You've spoken about Krishna as eternal guide, and specifically on strategy. Now, in current day, in the modern day and world as well, you see a lot of wartime situations for founders of companies, for leaders of companies. What kind of strategies can they take away from this book, and how will they impact them?
Krishna is a master at strategy.
Hmm.
By studying his life and his teachings, every single person can be benefited immensely. One of the reasons Krishna comes into this world is to actually set an example. Krishna says in the Gita, Yadyad acharati shreshtas tattat eva taro jana. So whatever standard a leader sets, common man follows.
Hmm.
So from a foundational value system and from the point of view of leadership,
Hmm.
every single story that is associated with Krishna in the Mahabharata are powerful lessons
Hmm.
that leaders can learn how to navigate their lives. For example, when Jarasandha attacked Krishna,
Hmm.
Mathura,
Hmm.
17 times, Krishna fought back. Every time he fought back.
Hmm.
And on the 18th time, Krishna ran away from the war. He didn't fight with Jarasandha, he just ran away.
Hmm.
Now, a lot of people don't understand what Krishna did,
Hmm.
and they don't understand why Krishna did that.
Hmm.
All of us, we are fighting many wars.
Right.
And every war we try to fight to win.
Right.
There are some wars you don't need to win.
Hmm.
You just need to leave those wars. You have to pick up your fights. What
Hmm.
is worth fighting? There are some wars that are not worth fighting at all. Drop them. And when Krishna was attacked by Jarasandha, the 18th time, so they attacked from two sides. They attacked from Jarasandha from one side and Kala Yavan from another side. Krishna, instead of fighting the wars, he just ran away. And when Krishna ran away, Kala Yavan followed him. And Krishna ran into a cave in which there was a king named Muchukunda sleeping. And when Kala Yavan chased Krishna and he saw Muchukunda sleeping there, his back was towards him. So he didn't see who it was. He just assumed it is Krishna because Krishna ran into that cave. Krishna was hiding on one side. And this guy went and kicked Muchukunda, thinking it is Krishna. And Muchukunda woke up and stared at Kala Yavan and burnt him down to ashes. Because Muchukunda had a boon that if anybody wakes him up from his sleep, he will burn down that person to ashes. And Krishna knew that. Krishna didn't have to fight against Kala Yavan to win against him. He just had to bring Kala Yavan to Muchukunda and automatically Kala Yavan died. So not all battles we have to fight ourselves.
Right.
There are some battles we just have to, navigate them towards some other, sources.
Right.
Because not all wars we are going to win on our own merit or our own strength. There are some wars we just have to move to another direction and somebody else can take care of it, right?
Makes sense.
That's what is called delegation, basically.
Right.
So for every single situation in life, there is a story that Krishna teaches through his own life. For example, when the Pandavas were attacked by the Narayanastra, there was a very powerful weapon called Narayanastra. And the Pandavas had no idea how to counteract it. Krishna told all of them, drop all your weapons and lie down on the ground. So all the Pandavas just threw their weapons and were lying on the ground. And Krishna, he stood up and he received the Narayanastra on his chest. And the Narayanastra turned into a beautiful garland. And the Pandavas were very confused. They said, what just happened? Can you explain? And Krishna explained to them, the only way to counteract the Narayanastra is by falling flat in front of it. There are some problems you shouldn't fight against. You should just surrender to those problems. You should become humble in front of those problems. And those problems don't affect you.
Right.
We want to fight against every problem. We want to solve every problem because not all problems are meant to be solved.
Makes sense.
A lot of them are meant to be tolerated. A lot of them are meant to be neglected. Very few of them you actually can solve.
Right.
So which are the ones that you're supposed to fight and which is a fight you're supposed to give up and become humble in front of? We can learn from Krishna.
Makes a lot of sense.
So many amazing stories and every single story in Krishna's life, there is a wisdom that we can learn in modern lives, especially founders who are running, startups and corporate organizations and are in a journey where every day is a fight.
Right.
Kurukshetra is a parallel to today's world.
True. Very true.
Every single day there is a different enemy coming.
Right.
And just like every startup founder faces different type of obstacles and different type of challenges on a daily basis, what works one day will not work the second day. Every day you need a new strategy to fight against your enemy. Some enemies you fight, some enemies you surrender to. And that's how we win the modern battles of life.
Amazing. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that perspective. So, so that is a very interesting perspective you have shared through Mahabharata, through Bhagavad Gita, through Krishna specifically. Now, if you move to another book of yours, which is into Ramayana, The Game of Life, that's been a bestseller. What are some obvious, takeaways from that book? What should people read, looking forward to from that book as well?
The series Ramayana, The Game of Life, I named it after a lot of thought.
Okay.
I called it Ramayana, The Game of Life because I strongly felt that the Ramayana actually can help us play the game of our life better.
Okay.
Every game has some rules, right? So if you know the rules well, you can play the game well. But unfortunately, when we are living life and you're playing the game of life, most of us don't even know what the rules are.
True.
Therefore, Ramayana teaches us essential rules for life through the stories of Lord Ram. And as we follow the story of the Ramayana, we get to learn how we can navigate the game of our life better. And when you take life as a game, it's more enjoyable. A lot of people suffer life. But those who understand life is a game, they learn to enjoy life.
Right.
All players who play to win,
Hmm.
they are miserable.
Right.
But players who play because they enjoy the game,
Hmm.
they really do well.
Right.
And win or loss is a part of life,
Hmm.
right? But first, you should know how to play the game and how you should enjoy the game.
Makes sense.
Through the Ramayana, you will find in every part of the Ramayana, there are such amazing stories where Ram is teaching us the psychology that we need to maintain to live a life of dignity and grace.
Hmm.
Through the story of the Ramayana, you find every single episode, Ram is giving us perspectives, how we can look at the similar situation that comes into our life.
Hmm.
Whether it is, looking at the way we handle relatives who are, agnostic sometimes,
Hmm.
or how we handle sibling rivalry.
Hmm.
Lakshman and Bharat, at some point, Lakshman really felt Bharat was responsible for all the problems.
Right.
And then Ram handled it so beautifully. He helped Lakshman see Bharat in a totally different perspective.
Very true.
Kaikai, who was actually responsible for all the mess that happened in Ayodhya,
Hmm.
the way Ram handled her is just so amazing. Not one single time in those 14 years and afterwards he ever blamed her.
Hmm.
She was dying of guilt.
Hmm.
Ram never told her ever that you are wrong.
Hmm.
But she was so much feeling the responsibility.
Right.
If Ram had blamed her, she wouldn't feel that kind of guilt.
Probably yes.
So Ram helps us navigate complicated, delicate situations of life through such deep, amazing, and very profound ways of looking at life from a higher perspective.
Hmm.
So Ramayana sets a standard of what it means to be a good human being. And when we study the Ramayana, of course, the benchmark is too high. But if only we have a benchmark that is so high, we'll get anywhere close by, right?
True.
And that's
Very
what
true.
I teach through the series called Ramayana, the Game of Life. The entire story of Ramayana is written in a way that through the story you can apply the teachings of Ramayana in your life.
Makes a lot of sense, sir. That brings me to another very interesting question that I think is going to be superbly helpful for founders, corporate leaders, etc. as well. Specifically, founders and their own employees in the startup, right? If let's say all of them learn from you and apply those learnings for 30 days, what are some of the obvious changes or metrics that you would see before and after for doing these practices for 30 days?
I personally feel it will give people spirituality and any kind of spiritual practices and understanding the right mindset.
Hmm.
It gives people perspectives for life. That is the first thing that happens.
Hmm.
You get an alternative way of looking at life itself,
Right.
alternative way of looking at the way you make decisions,
Hmm.
alternative way of looking at problems.
Hmm.
That's the first thing. The second thing is the way you manage your time.
Hmm.
Spirituality actually helps us understand time in a totally different box.
Okay.
Spirituality actually helps us understand that time is actually God. Krishna says in the Gita, Kalosmi, he says, I am time.
Hmm.
How many of us actually look at time as God?
Hmm.
Because in reality, most of us are unconscious of time.
Hmm.
Spirituality helps us become conscious of every moment because it's a moment that will never come back. So we begin to value time better.
Hmm.
The third thing that happens when one deeply understands these concepts that we're talking about is the way you connect with other people.
Hmm.
Your relationships with people becomes much more powerful and much more deeper because you're not looking at them as at a superficial level, but you're looking at them at a much deeper level, the soul connect basically.
Right.
And I really emphasize a lot on relationships because whatever we achieve in our life is based on who we are connected with.
Right.
A human being becomes an average of 5 people that he associates with the most.
Hmm.
So if you are associating with 5 really, not so, you know, deep people, you become the average of those 5. Now, uh, whom do you want to become the average of? Which are those 5 people that you want to become an average of?
Hmm.
You have to really think deeply.
Makes sense.
And if you don't choose those 5 people who are, most people surround themselves, especially, leaders surround themselves with weak people
Hmm.
because they feel that they feel stronger among
Right.
those weak people
Hmm.
without realizing that they are going to become an average of those 5.
Makes sense.
And that is why it is very important to surround yourself with powerful people. Because if you become the average of those 5 powerful people, it's something much, much more powerful than what you will ever become on your own, basically.
Right.
So these are three things that I can immediately think of that can have a deeper impact on people's lives. And the fourth, probably the most important thing, is you will start valuing spiritual practices more deeply.
Hmm.
Because how much can we do based on our own intelligence, right? Like, say, for example, um, if you are thinking of an idea
Hmm.
for a startup,
Hmm.
or you're thinking of a technology idea, you're thinking of a book writing idea, whatever ideas you're thinking of,
Hmm.
what is the guarantee by thinking you'll get those ideas? Is there a guarantee that
No.
by just sitting and thinking you'll get those ideas? No. Ideas don't come by thinking. They just come when you deserve them, when you invoke them, basically.
Hmm.
Krishna says in the Gita,
Hmm.
he speaks a very beautiful and a powerful thought. He says, Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamami upayantite. He says, Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam. He says, when someone worships me pritipurvakam, with love,
Hmm.
that means we're talking about chanting God's name, we're talking about connecting with God, we're talking about doing some spiritual practice with love,
Hmm.
with depth, with affection. When you do that, Dadami buddhi yogam tam. He says, I give you the intelligence.
Hmm.
Dadami means I give. Buddhi yogam tam means I give you the intelligence.
Hmm.
Every person who is looking for ideas, here is the secret in the Gita. The verse in the Gita where Krishna is saying, I am ready to give you ideas,
Hmm.
provided you do this.
Makes sense.
Spirituality is one science which you practice. You will never fall short of ideas. You will never fall short of innovation.
Hmm.
You will never fall short of creativity. And some of the very powerful spiritual people
Hmm.
are also some of the most creative people in the world.
Makes a lot of sense.
So I do a yearly mentorship program where I mentor a group of 30 individuals,
Hmm.
between mid-level, top-level management
Hmm.
for a period of 1 year, where I train them on all these qualities,
Hmm.
how they can bring a balance in their life,
Hmm.
how they can look at their lives in a more deeper sense than just a superficial sense,
Hmm.
how they can find their purpose in life, how they can manage their time better, how they can develop a healthy self image, how they can actually understand themselves and their relationships in a much better framework, how they can make better decisions in their life.
Hmm.
So, all of these things I train them for a period of one whole year, a set of 30 people.
Right.
So I've been doing this for last several years now. Handpicked 30 people for one full year. Every week I give them time,
Hmm.
and I try to help them become a better individual personally and also professionally.
Well, what's the process of applying for one if someone wants to be a part of those 30?
I'll send you the form for it.
Okay.
So usually I start the course in Jan. So Jan to December is when I do this course every year, basically.
Okay. So I'll definitely one apply. Second, I will also share this information with the audience. For people who would
Most
want to
welcome. Yes,
at least give it a shot.
most welcome.
Thank you. One practical guidance on this. A lot of people today's day and age also suffer with burnout. You have mentioned about reactivity. You have mentioned about calm and composure. Uh, People tend to be too anxious and try to achieve a lot. You've spoken about this as well, that people always try to win instead of enjoying the game. They try to win the game, and I'm assuming that leads to burnouts. What are some learnings that you would want to share with people to make sure that they avoid going through burnouts?
The most important thing that is needed for anyone to avoid going through burnouts is every single day find some time for yourself.
Hmm.
When a well keeps giving water,
Hmm.
at one point it dries up. Every well has to spend some time filling up
Hmm.
and then giving out.
Right.
We as human beings, the way we fill up
Hmm.
is when we are alone doing something that nourishes us personally.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, today, most people seek nourishment in movies, in scrolling on the social media.
Right.
they feel that is what is, decreasing their stress,
Hmm.
without realizing that actually subtly increasing the stress.
Interesting. Very
It is
interesting.
not helping you relax.
Hmm.
It is actually helping you move faster towards your burnout.
Wow. Okay.
Spirituality teaches us the best way to relax. If you spend time with yourself,
Hmm.
doing practices that are going to connect you with your inner self and with God,
Hmm.
that is when you emerge out, that is filling up
Hmm.
the well,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So, in fact, Lord Ram tells Bharat this. He tells every day in the morning, you should get up early in the morning and spend some time with yourself. So, if every single day, if a person spends at least 15 minutes every day, either reading some book which is deep.
Hmm.
I'm not talking about fiction stories. I'm talking about deep books
Hmm.
that have real depth in them, like the scriptures, like the Gita or the Bhagavata. Any of these scriptures that have depth in them, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata. Second is if you can spend some time doing meditation, any form of meditation like japa meditation or mantra meditation, or closing your eyes and doing yogic meditation. Any of these meditations,
Hmm.
going out for walks in nature
Hmm.
where you don't have your gadgets with you. You are with yourself and with nature.
Hmm.
Fourth, write things that really come out from your heart, some form of journaling
Hmm.
where you can express yourself, express your emotions, express gratitude towards what you have experienced in your life.
Hmm.
Fifth, have deep, meaningful conversations with people. Not talking about useless talks, not talking about politics, not talking about movies, not talking about gossip about people, but talking about deeper subjects that really matter to you.
Got it.
If anyone can do these five things, one of
Hmm.
these five things, every day for at least 15 minutes to an hour,
Hmm.
it will have a massive impact
Right.
on their own life and will ensure that they don't burn out and they're filling up their well again and again.
Fantastic. Those are some amazing pointers. 5 different points, which everyone can do it potentially every morning as well, like you mentioned, and bringing those changes can really avoid burnout. So that's a fantastic set of points that I think people should follow. Uh, I also want to go into very different tangents. You've spoken a lot about learnings, but I also want to go in a different tangent of the learnings itself. You've taught at various colleges and schools and institutions across the globe, including the likes of MIT in Boston, Dresden in Germany, WITS Johannesburg, and many of the IITs, etc. as well. Has there been a fundamental difference in terms of the application and the absorption uh, in an environment which is in US versus Europe versus India?
Human beings are the same everywhere.
Hmm.
Their concerns are the same everywhere.
Okay.
And yes, their styles may be different
Hmm.
and their cultures may be different. But in essence,
Hmm.
the fears that they have, they're all the same.
Hmm.
The aspirations that they have, they're all the same.
Hmm.
And the feelings that they have, the emotions that they have, they're all the same.
Right.
I personally feel that at that level,
Hmm.
there is commonality. And
Hmm.
at that level, when we teach, there is absolutely great acceptance.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Uh, there are also a lot of people who are very critical of spirituality, and many of them counter that by saying that this is a feel good talk. Probably they don't understand the depth of spirituality, but how do you react to some of these people or critics who do not fully understand spirituality and call it as feel good talk?
Yes, they are right to a great extent because many of the spiritualists
Hmm.
are doing feel good talks
Okay.
because the spirituality itself is at multiple levels.
Hmm.
So if you find spiritualists who are giving you knowledge at that level,
Hmm.
it will feel like a feel good talk.
Got it.
But then if you really want to go deeper,
Hmm.
you connect with the same person or with others
Hmm.
who can help you go deeper.
Got it.
Initially, it has to begin with a feel good talk,
Hmm.
but it doesn't end with a feel good talk.
Right.
That feel good talk will only inspire you to start walking on that path.
Makes sense.
But if the feel good talk is pushing you to stay on that same path, then it's not. It's like actually defeated the purpose of that feel good talk itself.
Makes sense.
So I would say that feel good talks are good
Hmm.
as bridges that help people take the courage
Hmm.
to put the first step on the bridge.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense.
And then you walk on that bridge to move towards a path which is much, much deeper.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much. That's very enlightening. Uh, and is there also a distinguishing line where one, if let's say in the modern world, someone who practices spirituality may be completely healed by spirituality, or do they sometimes need therapists? Is there a line there differentiating them, or someone doesn't need a therapist? Spirituality alone can heal them fully.
See, for spirituality to act and transform your life, it takes some time.
Right.
But there might be situations of emergency
Hmm.
when, suppose, there is somebody who is a schizophrenic patient,
Hmm.
somebody who is going through certain levels of hallucination.
Hmm.
And these are very critical cases
Hmm.
where you don't have time at hand
Hmm.
for the process to work.
Right.
The process will work, but it needs certain time for transformation to happen. But if you are going through an emergency situation, it is important to consult a therapist. It's important to consult some psychologist who will help you at least to get to a point of stability.
Makes sense.
Where, see, therapy is not long-term solution.
Hmm.
No clinical psychologist will say that therapy is the long-term solution to problems in life.
Hmm.
It's an emergency.
Right.
Right now, you're going through an emergency. Take the help and get stable. And once you're stable, look for something long-term.
Hmm.
And that's where spirituality can really help you.
Makes a lot of sense, sir. On that follow-up question, you talk about long term. So there is a patience and persistence required in the spiritual journey. How different is that from that, let's say, a journey of a founder?
See, anyone who plants a tree
Hmm.
will get fruits after many years.
Right.
Whether it is planting a mango tree, a sapling of a mango tree for it to give fruits takes 15 years.
Right.
Or whether it's a startup founder who is laying some foundation for an organization, and then by the time he actually reaps the fruits, it'll be a couple of years. Or whether it is a spiritualist who's putting the seed, which is going to grow into something very beautiful. Each of them requires patience,
Hmm.
and anything that naturally grows sustains also for a
That's
longer
a
duration of
fantastic
time.
point. Yes, sir. No, completely aligned. That's a fantastic point and fantastic message for a lot of people in the audience, because a lot of people too tend to take shortcuts. They're hoping for faster rewards, and that's such a brilliant point, right? About sustaining, building something naturally would lead to a lot more sustainable growth in the long run. So thank you so much. So on that note, I do want to ask you get into a very different segment, which is rapid fire. No conversation is complete without a rapid fire. So I'll ask you a few more questions, and with short answers, short question, short answer format. Uh, will India teach modern day spirituality to the world in the next decade?
100%.
Fantastic. If you could finish this line, a founder or a leader is successful when?
When he is empathetic towards people that help him
Mhm.
grow, when he understands his customers and his end consumers well,
Mhm.
and when he gives back to society.
Fantastic. A verse or story you return to life when life feels noisy.
Apuryamanam achalam pratishtam samudramapaha pravashanti sarve. This is a verse from the Bhagavad Gita,
Mhm.
which actually gives a very beautiful analogy. It talks about how all the rivers flow into an ocean,
Hmm.
but the ocean is so deep that the ocean never floods over. Similarly, hundreds of desires that flood into the mind, if the mind is shallow like a puddle, it will flood over. The puddle loses existence.
Hmm.
But if the mind is deep like an ocean, it will not get affected at all.
Fantastic. One belief you change your mind about recently.
One belief that I changed my mind about recently? Yes. I would say I changed my mind about how externals don't matter.
Hmm.
You know, um, the way I used to, couple of years back at least, the way I used to dress up,
Hmm.
I used to wear I always wore traditional clothes for
Hmm.
decades, for all more than 12 years. But then I realized that if I have to be connecting with modern people,
Hmm.
with people in the modern world, sometimes your clothes become a barrier, for a person to converse with you, for a person to be able to open up to you.
Right.
And sometimes that becomes, a lot of people tend to feel that if somebody is wearing, traditional dhoti kurta, tilak, and all that,
Hmm.
they feel this person is unapproachable to me. He's in a different world.
Hmm.
And I strongly believe in traditions, and I love wearing dhoti kurta. That's my comfort cloth practically. But then I started realizing that if I need to be with people, I need to connect with people.
Hmm.
I need to really start looking like them, connecting with them, so that the conversation can begin.
Makes
So that I
sense.
slowly help them change their belief systems about what is traditional and what dhoti kurta is.
True.
And I find that that really beautiful. I struggled with it for quite some time, honestly. I really didn't feel comfortable wearing regular clothes, but then I realized that if this is a service,
Hmm.
and it's actually going to help people connect with me better, I said, I don't mind doing that service. And if that can help a lot more people
Hmm.
accept traditional clothes, and accept the path of spirituality, and accept the connection with God, so be it.
No, that's a fantastic thought. Thank you so much. Uh, a book that you would gift or recommend the most and why?
There's a book that I wrote called Open Eyed Meditations.
Hmm.
And that's one of the books that I strongly feel is one of my best books. I have, gifted it to hundreds of people, and hundreds of people have gifted it to hundreds of other people,
Hmm.
because that book has really impacted thousands of lives, literally.
Well,
And it's a book I highly recommend.
we'll definitely do that. So that's the next book that I'm reading now. A question you ask a struggling founder when you're teaching or imparting knowledge to them or wisdom to them.
What is your purpose?
Hmm.
Why do you do what you do?
Makes a lot of sense. One thing you wish every 20-year-old learned about attention.
Attention is the most valuable commodity in the world. What you give attention to determines what is your, um, you know, what is your most valuable commodity.
Hmm.
People who give attention to money, for them, that's the most valuable thing. For people who give attention to screens, that's their most valuable commodity. And people who give attention to themselves, they realize that they are their own, their best assets, basically.
Hmm.
Um, in a world which is filled with distractions, being attentive to yourself and to your own needs and to your own interests and your own concerns is rare. And the most amazing thing is that when you are attentive to yourself, you can be attentive to others more.
Got it. That's a fantastic perspective. Thank you so much for sharing that. One last question. In the modern day spiritual world, how would you define innovation in one word?
Innovation, in one word, is creativity, which is empowering and blessed.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. These were some eye-opening perspectives for me as well, and I'm sure for a lot of people in the audience who would eventually want to reach out to you as well for some guidance and learn from you. I'm so glad that you were able to take out time and have this conversation with us, because this is going to help a lot of people out there at least open their minds to thinking about how they should get or apply spirituality in the current modern day world. And again, big thank you for taking our time.
Thank you very much. Very happy and grateful to be here. And hopefully, through this podcast, we'll be able to touch a lot more lives. And some of them, hopefully, will get transformed and look at spirituality in a more serious lens.
We'll definitely do that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
much.
you.